Hi. Dolphin Recaps here. Today I am going to explain a 2022 American supernatural horror film called The Invitation. Spoilers ahead, watch out and enjoy. The movie begins a century ago in an old mansion. A woman named Emmeline Alexander has confined herself to her room, while the butler tells her she needs to feed. Emmeline runs from her room and ties a rope around her neck and uses a statue as a weight. She declares that whatever is going on will end with her, and she hangs herself. In present-day New York City, Evie is working as a server at a museum for snobbish people along with her best friend Grace. Evie has felt alone since her mother passed away from cancer 5 months ago, and her father passed away when she was 14. She then uses a DNA kit in order to acquire additional information regarding her extended family. Evie receives a message from a young British man named Oliver Alexander. Despite some hesitations, Evie agrees to meet with Oliver in person. They break for lunch and talk about some of Oliver's family history, as Evie is descended from Emmeline after she had a secret child from an affair. After that, he extends an invitation to Evie to join him in London for the wedding of some of their other distant relatives. Evie agrees. Evie arrives in London at the Deville estate where the wedding will be held. She meets the stuffy butler, Mr. Fields, before meeting the lord of the estate, Walt. He promises to make her feel at home. Evie is given a tour by the head maid, Mrs. Swift, who tells her about the bells in the house and how they are connected to other rooms. Evie also calls Grace to tell her about the estate and how hot Walt is. Later, she walks through the halls and witnesses Mr. Fields instructing a group of maids, picking one to work in a certain part of the house. The maid goes into the room where she is grabbed by an unseen creature. The next morning, Evie is invited to a family reunion to meet the rest of the clan. The great-uncle of the family gives a welcoming speech to Evie. Walt also gets closer to Evie and tries to flirt with her. Meanwhile, 2 other maids are instructed to work inside a wine cellar. While they mess around at first, they are soon picked off and grabbed by the same mysterious creature. Walt gives Evie a gown to wear for a ball that evening. While out in the party, Evie meets the tall, beautiful, and condescending Victoria and the kinder Lucy. Afterwards, Evie sits with Walt in the bedroom where they watch the fireworks and share their first kiss. As Evie gets closer to Walt, she is invited to a pre-wedding pampering session with Victoria, Lucy, and other female guests. During the session, Evie's finger gets cut, and Victoria begins to suck the blood from the finger, creeping Evie out. Evie walks through the house later and discovers that Walt had been doing investigating into Evie's life, finding several documents of personal information. Evie confronts Walt and threatens to leave, but he convinces her that he had no bad intentions in doing so. The family hosts a dinner where Evie believes she will finally meet the bride and groom. After a speech is given, Walt announces to the family that Evie has agreed to marry him, shocking her. Moments later, the family brings out one of the maids, and they slit her throat and pour her blood into a bowl, horrifying Evie. She realizes that they are vampires, and Walt is attempting to continue a family tradition of having 3 wives, including Victoria and Lucy, and Evie was the latest female descendant of Emmeline, whose bloodline only produced boys. Evie attempts to run, but she is subdued by the family. Evie is locked up in a basement as part of Walt's plan to get her ready for their wedding, but Mrs. Swift makes her way down there and rescues her because she feels responsible for what happened to Emmeline. Mrs. Swift helps Evie escape even though she is fully aware that she will be killed. Evie is successful in making it into the surrounding town, where she is introduced to Jonathan and Mina Harker. While Mina is calling for help, Evie immediately realizes that they are faithful to the vampire clan. Despite Evie's best efforts to escape, Mina knocks her out and waits for the others to come and get her. Evie has finished getting ready for the wedding. She recalls her mother's words of support as she prepares to take her vows. Evie drinks Walt's blood and develops vampire powers. She sets the apartment on fire and then stabs Walt through the heart before rescuing a maid who was supposed to be the victim of the sacrifice. Evie runs and is found by Mr. Fields, whom she fights and kills by slitting his throat. Lucy helps fight back because she is sick of the cruelty and bloodshed, so she impales both of them, and then they disintegrate. Walt, who is now in a much weaker state, attempts to attack Evie, but she easily defeats him and throws him into the flames. As he passes away, Evie loses her ability to turn into a vampire. 2 weeks later, Oliver is still looking for Evie. She finds him first and recruits Grace to help finish him off. Subscribe to Dolphin Recaps and turn on the notification bell for more videos like this.